and welcome to HIFAS Talk. In this episode, I'm interviewing my mother, Carmen Portela. This is a very special occasion for me. It's very emotional because I will unveil my life to you from my mother's vision and talk. And I think it's in this occasion, in this episode, it's beautiful because I think that is to see where the vision of a mother has really set the pace for an international vision company that was built, the seed in Galicia, in Pontevedra, but from here has gone to the world and became an international company. So I think it has a lot to say from my perspective, from me as a professional, as a person. My mother was a very important rock for me to build all what we have done here at HIFAS Terra. So welcome, Mom.
Thank you so much.
So to start with, we're going to introduce today the London Nootropics coffees that they're doing with our incredible extracts. As you know, we have 3 types with this energy for mojo, with cordyceps, the flow with lion's mane and rhodiola, and zen, to be zen on the day, with ashwagandha and L-theanine. Which one have you chosen for today?
I tried them all, of course. And after trying them all, definitely the mojo. Energy. At my age, comes in handy.
Okay. I think Pixie also loves it. He loves the coffees and he feels really comfortable here. So
I didn't know you gave coffee to the...
No, but he loves the idea and he loves seeing me having a great coffee because he feels how calm I become.
Oh.
So I would like to start from the very beginning. Like many times in my life when I get an interview, they ask me, how did you start the company? How did you have the vision? And how did everything start? And I many times say, everything even started before I was created. So can you tell us what was like your life and how you came to Spain, and from there, what happened?
Okay. Well, as you know, I met your father. I was from New York, and we started pen paling, and pen paling became marriage. And I came to live to Spain. Truthfully, it was a whole change of scene. I came from a country where free speech, I lived through women's lib, I lived through black movement, I lived through Vietnam, where we would go and protest in the streets. I lived through, sadly, assassinations, Kennedy, the 2 Kennedys, and Martin Luther. And I came here. I really did not realize that this was a dictatorship until I came to live. If you come as a tourist, it's quite different.
You were 19 at that point.
I was 19 when I married. I was 24, 25 when you were born. And Sophia was born when I was 20. And no, not 20, 21. And all of a sudden I was in a country where you could not speak freely, where meetings had to be announced at the government level if you were more than, I think, 5 people. Your father and some friends were creating a cultural club, nothing to do with politics in the least. And they had to come to the house. We would have a candle in the living room, and they would come up secretly, one by one, because they couldn't be 5 people walking in. So for me, that was like, it was almost like an adventure. Oh my gosh, what is it? So it was a total different. In the States, the 60s, 70s was an economic boom, and it was a different world. I came from a very diverse population, society, there was a big difference back then between North and South. I was in the North, New York, so I went to a Catholic school. There were Jewish schools, there were public schools. So I was used to this diversity. And here, religion and state were one. I was amazed to see that at Easter, for example, there were no movies. They closed them. There was sacred music on the radio, so that's the music you could hear. And everything revolved around the processions and that. Not that I'm against it, but it was a one religion, one state, totally different from my experiences in life, you know. So like I said before, for me this was like a big adventure at first. Not always a good one, but it was a big adventure. And when you were born, when Sophia was born, and you were born because Idia is much younger, I wanted and I needed for you to see another world, to see where I came from and why I was different from many people here. I remember once, everything has changed so much in 50 years, because I'm talking 50 somewhat years ago. I remember one day I went to Pontevedra in jeans, and someone called my attention. Somebody in the family said, you know, you can't go in jeans to the city. And I said, why not? Because you have to dress up. So I had to dress up to go to Pontevedra when I would go to New York City in jeans with no problem. I mean, that's just a little side remark, right? So I needed for you all to be there. So we would go in the summers. We would be in New York for 2-3 months. Usually it was a summer vacation. Here in Spain back then, school started after October 12th, El Pilar. So we could go July, August, half of June, July, August, and half of September. And you would go to camps so that you would live that little experience besides living another type of television, another type of, although this sounds odd, today it sounds odd. Back then it didn't. I mean, we still had nodos. And, well, it was different.
Yeah. I don't know if I think that marked me so much in my life. I remember going there, and we would wake up at 5 a.m. so super excited because we wanted to see cartoons, and they were in color. And here we would have, until we had Naranjito, that I remember Naranjito in the 82, that even in black and white, and I could see him in orange, even though we had black and white color television. But going to the States, seeing
Sesame Street
with all its colors, its cultural building, and what was done for kids, as well as I remember the big lines of cereals and cookies, and then it was so exciting to go to the States and suddenly go
to a supermarket,
something as basic as that, and then coming back here, and we would have is galletas Maria and galletas Príncipe, and that was all more or less. No cereals, no other cookies, and not only, but I remember first time I brought Snoopy back, or Hello Kitty, and at school everybody would be like, what is that dog, or what is that cat, what is it about? And then I could see that some years after, everybody would have the Snoopy, everybody would have Hello Kitty. But not only, then we would have the black sneakers of the NBA, or we would have the big t-shirts of the NBA.
Levi's,
or I mean, I could see my whole life, like everything that happened in the States, it took like 10 years then to happen in Spain. But it's impressive to see and to think the world you came to at that very moment, like 55 or 57 years ago, and how much we have evolved from that point in Spain, but the reality of what you had to live at that point here.
If I were to come today, there really is not much of a difference. There isn't. saying has changed so very much. The thing is, the new generation, the young people today, they don't know half of it. And for some reason, mostly for fear, I know that grandparents, great-grandparents would not talk about certain times in this country. It took me a while to find out, little by little, things that had happened, because there wasn't much free speech until we came into the democracy. And then it was full speed ahead, you know? It went changing quickly. Today, there's no difference. In fact, today, I'm beginning to fear free speech in my own country. But let's see what happens.
Yes. I always say in my interviews, like, this, which could seem something that is not so important to me, it's what gave us the capacity of being international at HIFAS Terra, to think internationally, thanks to you and thanks to Sigrid, Esteban's mother, who came from Germany, more or less on the same years.
Yes.
And I think for us, for me and for Esteban, to grow into different realities, parallel realities, seeing our families developing in one country and then developing in the other, has had a great significance and you know, in our education and how then we applied to the company. One of the things, do you remember, when I go back to my childhood and I see my toys, to be honest, all of the toys that I have today and that I keep today as very dear to me came from New York. And mostly they were given to me by my grandparents, so their parents. And one of them, it's a microscope. Mm-hmm. So I had a microscope that it was given to me in New York. When here we didn't have access to a microscope as a kid. Today you can find it everywhere, but at that point you couldn't. Then I had and I still have it, it's a beautiful Fisher Price doctor's kit that I still have it as a precious kit that I have it at home. I keep it. Then I have a cashier, not one, but I have 3 different models.
Cash register.
A cash register.
Right. That you loved.
That I loved. But I think once they asked me in an interview, they said, which are the toys you had? And I had never realized how those toys really represent who I am today. I think that is amazing, you know, in a psychological way, of how we become who we are, little by little, by building ourselves, by playing, which is just impressive.
Yeah.
And these facts came from the United States, as well as I could see Dad here, you know, working in a true lab, and also with the real science backing up. But from my American side, I really appreciate and I adore that part of innovation, because one thing I also think that you brought to me specifically, it's the innovation part on application to real life. Because every time you go anywhere, no matter where, but always when you go to the States every year, you bring gadgets.
I know.
Every type of gadget that you can find. It's really, that sometimes it's like, what is this and what is this going to do? But you always get to try new things, which amazes me, because it's something that you're always open to innovation.
Oh, of course.
In real life, in your everyday life. And I think this is something that really has opened my mind to say, why not? We can do things differently. And you can find it in every aspect of your life.
Let's see, as you know, my family were entrepreneurs, right? They were not civil servants. Yeah. Back then, being a civil servant was like the highest level you could reach. People, that was their main goal in life. I came from entrepreneurs where you sort of fought for your goals, your ideals, and your visions. So I also felt that you had, the 3 of you, Sofia, you, and Lidia, had to live that also. And it's true. It's, that motto that says change or die. I always feel that you have to keep up with what's coming along. You might not like it. Right now, I'm not a fan of AI, but it's there. So we have to face it and deal with it as well as we can. I always felt that entrepreneurs were the engine of a company, of a country. Mm-hmm. All right. So when you graduated, you lived in Rome for 3 years. We went to the States. We lived in Rome.
Yeah, tell me a little bit of that part. When we went to Rome for 3 years.
Well, your dad was offered to work at FAO and at the embassy as a representative. So we left our life here and moved to Rome, which was extraordinary experience. It was magnificent in every sense of the word. Because when I lived in Pontevedra, your dad's family is marvelous, but my close family was just here. And Dad was also with his family. When we went to Rome, all of a sudden, we were 5. Nobody else, no other family member. So we had to survive, the 5 of us, and it was magnificent. The nuclear family. For me, it was the best experience we could have had. And Rome is Rome. Italy in general is Italy. There's beauty in, 4 bricks that they put. I don't know what they do with the 4 bricks, but they look fantastic. And I think it was a window, a fresh new window as far as art, culture. When you graduated here, you were offered 2 jobs. Well, you took one. You went to teach at the Escuela de Capataces in the research center, the forestry school, which you enjoyed, but I think you realized that was not the way you wanted to go, teaching, which I sort of tried to push on you because I was a teacher, and I said to the 3 of you, I said, teaching is fantastic. You're free in the summers when your children are free. You have the same schedule. It couldn't be better. And the 3 of you said no. So I had to accept. You were also offered in quality control, I believe, in a cheese factory. Mm-hmm. And you were, what should I do? And then I said, look, one is a sure salary. You've got it. And you'll be under other people's directions. And the other, it's going to be hard. It's going to be rough. And you have to decide. It's your decision. I can't, because you were really like between 2 things. And you decided, no, I'm starting my own company. It was very brave of you, extremely brave of you. The first years were very difficult. I remember where the money that came in was enough to cover employees. And you lived. We did all we could to be by your side, to help you along. Then you met Esteban, and he's a fantastic partner. At first he was working in Cooperación Internacional, so he was away many months of the year. And then when he came back, it was the same thing, which way to pull. And he pulled towards you, which was perfect. He decided to join you in the company, and it couldn't have been better. Perfect couple, perfect business partner, and it's working out beautifully. Like I said, the beginnings were rough, very rough, and so rough that I remember sitting on that bench there one day. I said, do you want to continue with this? You've had an incredible education. You could do something else and have a good salary. And you said, no, I have a vision, I have a goal, and I need to go this way. Okay, you decided. So in everything we could, we helped you, but it was you. It was you who came every day to work, and you who had to face all of the problems, conflicts, and everything else. And you made it. And you made it, which is very important. You had behind you had a good education, family support, and a lot of love.
Yeah, and I thank you for that, and I will always, obviously, thank for bringing me to life and for all the support you have given me in this life, which wouldn't have been possible without it. And from the very beginning, what I always also tell the audience is that also what was very important to me is that you had always the natural medicine in mind.
Oh, yeah.
I always remember when, yes, here we had the traditional medicine of you take a chamomile when you have your, stomach pain or whatever, but you went further than that, beyond that, and you had your own Andrew Well books. I would always recognize the beard of Andrew Well, Dr. Andrew Well. You would have your self-healing books that I remember. I remember when we would have any problem, you would have your natural remedies books. And I always say you had your vitamins bottles and minerals where nobody else had. I mean, like my friends, their parents would never have breakfast with vitamins and minerals, and I could see you with those bottles every time growing bigger and in bigger quantities. And that gave me a huge idea that people and supplements would come to Europe. What I was seeing in you and your behavior and in CVS in the States or any health place in New York, that would become a trend in Europe as well in years to come, as I had seen it with Snoopy, with NBA, with Hello Kitty. I knew it would happen, so I could have an informed vision because I was privileged. I was very privileged because of all your sacrifices, because you coming to a country that was difficult, to a lesser life in that moment, but that you also knew that there was a potential here for us growing here. I always say that you bought these premises with Dad because he chose to have these premises to make science here so that we could grow in a more wild way while we were living in an apartment in the city, but be here on the weekends. And I truly believe that that had an incredible role in my life, and also obviously in HIFAS Terra, as much as then when we went go into, you would take us to Broadway every year.
Yes, Broadway was a must.
So I love music and dancing because of that. You would always take me to dancing classes, ballet, since I was very little. I would go to piano lessons as well.
I tried that, but it didn't work out with any of you.
But I did try. I cannot say that you didn't try hard enough. You did. Then going to museums and traveling the world, as you always said, not as a luggage, but as a person who's learning and who's getting and getting all of that knowledge inside. And I feel extremely privileged because of this. And I think this is the basis of who I am, who we are really, and what we have done comes because of how we were brought up.
Yeah, I think we're all products of our education, our childhood, and thank you so much. You just made a very beautiful exclamation.
Well, I want to thank you for all that you have done in my life, for producing me in the first place, for giving me life.
Well, I'm privileged to have the three of you. I'm privileged, very blessed and privileged with my 6 grandchildren, thanks to the three of you. And what my brother Nelson used to say, what goes around comes around. So that's it.
And also for giving me my American life, because obviously at the end of the day, I I have two sides in my Spanish side and my American side, which I think make a very good combination for innovation, for science,
Yes.
and for backing up.
That's,
HIFAS
for me,
Talk.
that was a very important point, to make global citizens of you. Not to just see one side of each story, to have the possibility, the creativity of seeing, all sides. And I think that people who grow up seeing, since early childhood, seeing different sides to each story, are the ones who do become global citizens and understand the problems that can arise and the whys. And hopefully they will be solved.
Can you tell me a little bit more of your vision of the world of natural medicine and how you applied it in your life and to us when we were little?
Well, it was the way, it was my way, you might say, from the States, because I remember when I was pregnant with Sophia, I bought a book, Awake and Aware. And the idea was not to have any anesthesia, right? To be aware of what, and breathing exercises, and that your husband was by your side.
We're talking 55 years ago.
We're talking the year 70. But here in Spain, the husband was not by your side, And that was a big one for me, because I said, come in with me, come in with. That's not done here. Men do not go into, So I was prepared for that. I had done my breathing on my own, because there were now there's everything. Now you have the comadronas who do the exercise. Back then they were. So I did my exercise on my own at home and all that. And it was pretty good. But I missed that part, Then Andrew Weil was sort of my book, and I had a nutritionist that I sort of followed a little bit. The truth is that in this country, it was easier because the natural products are so good. The fish is so good. The meat is so good, especially 50 years ago. So we ate very healthy because we had everything there, But of course, Andrew Weil spoke about vitamin C, vitamin D, and that's what you were saying, that I would bring my vitamin Cs and my vitamin Ds. So it was sort of a way of understanding health and going as natural as possible. It started, like you said, it started years ago there, and now, for a couple of years now, it's been here in Europe and in Spain. I'm convinced, like you say, I started with all of this at a relatively young age, and today I'm convinced that thanks to the mushrooms that you have so well produced and are what are helping us in our older age, okay? I'm 76, and I feel full of energy, and I feel good, and I'm totally convinced it's that because I'm taking these mushrooms since, 15 years ago, and that little by little it's helped me to have the health I have today. Of course, always with problems. When you get to a certain age, there are little problems that pop up because of age, but I'm not complaining. And now with the coffee, it goes adding on.
Which is the product that you like and that you use the most of HIFAS?
Okay,
and you enjoy the most?
Okay, I was always taking Mico Rey and Mico Si years ago. Then Mico Leo. But about 3 years ago, I had a serious problem. I think it's pylori. I think now they call it SIBO. It's similar.
Related.
It's related. I had pylori. So I went to the doctor. She said I had to take 2 antibiotics for 2 or 3 weeks. I took what I was told, exactly. And the truth, the antibiotic, after a while, it starts getting sort of disgusting. But you keep taking it. It went away It went away, fine. I was happy. Okay, very good. And 4 months later, I had it again. I spoke with you, and you said you're going to take Miko Digest, I think it was, and whatever you gave me. It's going to be slow. And that's what happened. I took it for, I think, 4 months, and I'm cured, or I think I'm cured, all right? I haven't had it again.
Obviously, we would never take the antibiotic away. You would always undergo the antibiotic first. But once that had recurred and came again, well, it was then where you could not tolerate well the antibiotics that we wanted to try. But it's important to tell the audience.
Oh, I know that well.
That
You always
antibiotics
say
are always there to help us, and that we need to follow the instructions of doctors.
That's why I said the first thing I did was follow, because that's your motto. First, you follow your doctor's directions, right? And you always make very clear that these are supplements. 2-3 months out of the year, I take Miko Digest. The rest of the year, now that you've introduced Optimum, I stop the others and I take 2 capsules of Optimum. I take, during 3 months of the year, I take the Miko Digest. And what I am introducing, and I have for the last 3 weeks, are the probiotic and the Micoleo, because it seems you're having very good results as far as memory goes. So I don't want to lose my memory. So I'll do anything possible not to go that way.
We have touched almost, I think, every angle. I would say, as a summary, to me, what it has meant to have you as a mother. Obviously, we all think our mother is the best mother in the world. To me, you were my best mother.
Every mother is the best mother. It's part of every mother's being.
But as I said before, I feel extremely privileged for have been able to be brought up in 2 worlds simultaneously, even 3, when we were in New York, in Spain, in Galicia, and at the same time in Italy, in Rome. I wanted, because I learned this model that you taught me, then I wanted to do the same with my family. So we went to the UK and we lived there for 3 years.
Right.
That's why I also feel a bit British because I tend to feel a little bit of each part of the world where I go.
That's right.
Because that's something
global.
That you also taught us, to be global, to be people from the world, not to feel only from one part of one place. And I think nowadays, as the world is, I think it's very important to remind, and I always like this. I even was, I talked to, as you know, I gave a talk at Harvard this year. And one of the things that I would also want to honor in this HIFAS talk is the effort that my great-grandfather, your grandfather, Angel, made when he left Galicia in the 1800s. And he went to New York, to the unknown. That was really brave from him to bring us a better future to the family that was not yet born.
Right.
But because he made this effort, because he faced the unknown and he faced a new world, now we're here, sitting in these beautiful premises, talking in English or in Spanish or in Gallego, and being who we are, brought up in a multilingual world, multicultural world, open mind, open to innovation, to new ideas. And I thank him for this, for if he could see us now, that we are even going into the US market. To me, this was a big step that I wanted to give, and I wanted you to see it. I wanted to be able to bring our products to the States, for our family to be able to have them there and see how the company grows and really benefit from having them in their daily life. This is something that was done this year, which I'm really proud of. And
So am
I always said that in our catalog, I want the picture of our great-grandfather, Angel, in that picture that is absolutely beautiful, where he's saluting
from
to
Central Park
from
with
Central
these
Park.
tiny trees. I've gone to the same spot, and Central Park was almost being developed. I mean, it had a few years of development. It was 19, I don't remember.
18
He left in 1895.
1880 even.
Yes. And the picture, I think, is it's either
1928.
1928.
The same year that the penicillin was discovered by Fleming.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
1928.
And he married, and then they went back to New York, and my dad was born there, and his other two siblings.
Right now we are fourth generation. There is a fifth generation of Americans already being
we have
born.
a big part of the family, most of the Portela family, almost all of the Portela family is in New York. New York, Florida, you know. But in New York.
Yes. So thank you for all.
And thank you.
Thank you for being here today with us, for sharing my life, our life,
Our life.
with the audience, and the roots of how HIFAS Terra was born and the whys, and to discover a little bit more of our family and present our family
Wonderful.
in this audience. Thank you so much for being you, for being here, and for being my mom.
And you for being you.
Well, thank you very much for being there, and see you on the next chapter of this HIFAS Talk.